What's up, y'all? My name is Alan Sheriff, aka Alwyn the Sheriff of all things innovative, and this is the ATS Podcast. Here on the ATS Podcast, we talk about all things science, technology, and psychology related, and it's my hope that I'm making the world a better place, one new video at a time. Make sure that you go to alanthesheriff.com and hit that donation link. 50% of every single thing that I make goes to science, technology, and climate change initiatives, so remember, help me help you make the world a better place. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the very first guest of the ATS Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely, the wonderful Logan, the Logo Clark. What are you doing right now, dude?
Hello, I'm currently sipping on my chai tea. I just finished up my breakfast snacks. It's very good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Dude, really happy to have you, man. I've just been sitting here in this apartment talking to myself, literally, and it's just great to have someone to go back and forth on some of these subjects with. Let's go ahead and get into it because we don't have too much time, only 6 minutes left for the science subject. So, we both decided to read an article from ScienceDaily.com, and this article was on the development of a new bioprinted heart. But what makes it so special is that a professor named Adam Feinberg and his team at Carnegie Mellon University found a way to further stabilize the process of 3D printed organs. So for people like me who weren't aware of this at all, the process is actually really quite difficult when it comes to printing out these organs. You can base this off of whether or not the print is actually going to hold up during the process, the type of material that's being used to print this 3D model printed organ, the speed at which it's being printed, and its overall fidelity. And so the article talks about this new technique that this professor and his team came up with called Fresh, in which they use a soft gel which is placed into another supported gel, which helps further stabilize the process of the 3D organ being printed. And amongst other things, these 3D prints also make for much more useful models that surgeons can use to educate patients in hospitals prior to their procedures. So, what are some of your initial thoughts on this, my guy?
So, what this makes me think of is this video game that I've been going through recently called Fallout 4. But basically, the thing that it makes me think about the most is specifically there's enemies or characters called synths, which are basically robots that are meant to look exactly like humans, like you basically wouldn't be able to distinguish between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And what that makes me think of is, creatures, whether they be, in this case, us human, or let's say that cat over there, the first thing that all organisms are supposed to do is survive. So humans, since we don't exactly have the longest lifespan, it's still great, don't get me wrong, but everything wants to live longer than it's expected to. I guess you could word it like that. I mean, not that there's, a law behind that, but yeah. So what this makes me think of is we are just getting closer and closer to eventually putting or restructuring the entire human body to practically be a robot, so that we can take our consciousness, throw it into a machine, and practically live forever.
Dude, you're a freaking genius. You're a pure futurist at heart, dude. I was thinking the exact same thing, but the only thing that was on my mind was, dude, I want y'all to turn me into Arnold Schwarzenegger. I want everything new. I want a new chin. I want new muscles. I want a new butt. I want you guys to print out everything new for me so I can become the next Black Superman. I want to be the most insane creature this universe has ever seen. I want to be Thanos, dude.
Like at first it's just going to be like, all right, how can we make ourselves a robot? And then after that, it's going to be, all right, what are the attachments I can get? Like, do I even want to have feet anymore? Or can I just have wheels? Or that, do I even really want to be on the ground? Let's put a rocket on our back. Like,
right.
It's a huge transition towards essentially becoming a robot.
Dude, I love the sound of, and I love the fact that technologies like these are just continuously being improved every single day, because the day will come where nobody will literally have to wait in line for these organs and stuff like that. It's just it's sad how today in society you see a lot of people they don't have access to these organs that they're looking for when it comes to transplants and whatnot. So they have like a whole bunch of bodily complications. And just like being able to have full on access to some of these things just because it'd be so easy to print them more effectively in bioprinted models, the more technology continues to advance, I think it's going to make for an all around better society, man. And it just makes me hopeful. And I love seeing things like this because this is like literally the only reason why I talk about these things on my podcast is just like how we're moving like in a more advanced direction every single day. And I think it's beautiful. And whether or not we become robots or we become superhuman Arnold Schwarzeneggers, dude, like all together, it's gonna be an awesome thing, dude. Like we're all just gonna be walking around like the earth, just like storming just like we're gonna be kings of the universe, dude. Like this is freaking awesome to me. This is freaking awesome.
It's sort of like Star Trek in a sense, you know? Like I think what's gonna happen is like say they need an organ, they hit a few buttons and then poof, it just materializes.
Right, dude. And I was also thinking like, bruh, like this would also be useful, and just making sure we still have enough time here, but and we only have 1 minute. I just want to touch upon this last point. I really wanted to get this in, dude. Like, imagine when the zombie apocalypse hits. We won't have to deal with like these zombies anymore. We can literally just put them all in like cheap, like Jeep Cherokee trucks. Have them go to like these, have them go to like these drive-throughs where where they're printing these organs and like literally just having them eat those organs instead of our own. Like
Oh
we
my
won't
God,
be
that makes sense.
like we'd be saving so much time, dude, and like we just suffer so much less. Like we won't have to deal. I'm telling you, man. Like we'd be prepared for every worst case scenario. Like these zombies would just be lining up, and we'd all just be going to Antarctica or something. I don't know, but I think that'd be freaking awesome.
Would you ever have a pet zombie?
Oh yeah, I would definitely. But the thing is, like, he'd have to be like. I would hope that I would have trained him to the point where he wouldn't eat me, but he would like eat all my enemies. Like that's the only thing I like.
Like, no, not you.
Bad zombie. Bad zombie. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and move on to the next subject. The next subject is technology, and we read another article from Science Daily. It talks about how this research team from USC Viterbi School of Engineering that uses AI to analyze film scripts to determine ratings before filming even begins. Now, I thought this was really interesting because one of the things I saw from the article was that they actually honed in on how linguistic cues can effectively signal behaviors on violent acts, from drug abuse and sexual content, and which is often the basis for a film's ratings as well. And they figure this based on the actions that are about to be taken by a film's character. Now, as you can imagine, storytellers and decision makers can reflect on the content that they're creating for the public and the impact that the content can actually have on viewers. And this is actually going to save a lot of filmmakers a lot of money. I guess I'll go first this time because I thought this was really interesting. I thought it was awesome because I was really thinking to myself, like, yo, like, it's insane just how much like AI is really, really pushing into our lives. Like there are certain sectors we figured they wouldn't tap into. Like probably like, I don't know, when you think to yourself like, oh man, you know, AI is definitely coming for all these different businesses, you know, but I know they're not going to be coming for entertainment and they're not going to be coming for art. Like, you know, what kind of computer is going to be, you know, painting beautiful, you know, art for like people to enjoy for like the rest of their lives, and like what kind of like, you know, AI is gonna be able to write its own film script, something that we could potentially enjoy one day in the theaters. And I was thinking to myself like, yo, if these AI have like actually been able to come in and not only like read film scripts, but and something I was looking at the other day, but the fact that they're actually able to write articles now, which I think is really freaking insane. Like, just imagine how much more they're actually going to be doing later on. What do you think?
I saw, I forgot how long ago it was. It might have been a few months ago, but I definitely was going through Reddit and I saw some post where this guy had basically made this AI read a ton of scripts of, I think, Batman the animated series,
Hmm.
and then after that it they made the program actually write a script as well. And I mean, it came out like your average episode of Batman in a sense. And this also makes me think about I know currently there is a robot out there that is writing every possible uh, rhythmic and melodic combination for music. So there
Hmm.
is a robot out there somewhere that is currently writing, in a sense, almost every piece of music that could possibly be written.
Dude, I watched something like that. I watched something on that the other day, and it was so freaking interesting to me because it was like, yo, this computer, not only did the AI write its own piece of music, but the music itself can actually like it compares its piece of music to like other popular and talented performing artists, and it uses that information to determine what would appeal to most people, and it can make a hit just based off of that. And I was watching that and I was like, yo, like all these rappers are finished.
Yo, yeah, you gotta I think about the fact of like, okay, so in that article, it was talking about how the AI doesn't even necessarily look at the picture itself of what's happening on the screen. It's listening to the audio and what they're
Mm,
saying, and it's making a judgment off of all the sounds that are going through the movie. It doesn't
mm,
even need to look at what's happening on the screen. It can just
right.
listen and go, that's sexual, or oh, someone's using drugs right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
or even just the tone in how something is said, like, oh, that was aggressive. This must be angry.
Mm,
It the fact that we're basically just we're able to be read so easily as humans that we basically can just have machines take care of our thinking for us. That scares me because people aren't going to think as much anymore.
mm, mm. That's a good observation. Yeah, that's my mind keeps on going back to this idea that we're gonna be all part of this. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? This utopian society where nobody's gonna have to work at all, kind of like Wall-E, and computers like AI is gonna be doing everything for us. And off the top of your head, you think, oh, that sounds like paradise. But when you really dig deep, you're like, yo, no way. I'm not like that's a society I don't want to live in because what's my purpose? You know what I mean? Like what how do
You're
I
just a
live? It's freaking scary. And just like another thing that I was thinking to myself, like, I wonder how effective this AI actually is. Like, I'm sure there have been like, and maybe it's because it's due to human error, but like there were times where, and I believed I looked up like a few movies the other night, like that were rated incorrectly, or at least as perceived by like audience members who ended up watching the movie. Like, I wonder how effective like the AI is at that. Like, how can they actually pinpoint, what exactly what the movie should be rated as and what it shouldn't be rated as. And like when it comes to the audience, will they really be thinking to themselves like, yo, it should have been rated this way or it shouldn't have been rated this way? Like, I wonder, like, I don't know. I was just thinking to myself, like, it'd be hilarious if you had a whole bunch of children, just like in a theater, just like watching something they probably shouldn't have been watching, like their favorite cartoon character, like drinking alcohol just because it made it into the script, because the director was just like, no, I'm gonna trust the AI. Like the script is great, it's gonna appeal to everybody.
Have you all right, so you've seen the original Ghostbusters movie, right?
Yeah, yeah, bits and pieces.
So like you're aware that that is meant for kids, or at least that was a kids movie in a sense, right?
Mm, mm,
Go back and watch it. That movie is really sexual. That movie is over sexualized for kids. Like that movie should not be. But that was the 80s. That was accepted. So you
mm,
got to ask yourself, AI is being created by people that have a mentality of this current generation. Things
mm.
that are going to be okay now are not going to be okay in like 30 years. So you can trust AI to a degree, but you got to remember that the computer is only as like capable as the person that is creating. Maybe I'm wrong when I say that. I don't know too much about computers and AI. But what I will say is typically everything is run through a specific program and has like it can only do specific processes and such.
Mm.
So it's only capable of what it's been programmed to be capable of. in a sense.
Facts, and the data that it's been provided with. Like human beings aren't perfect, so definitely, yeah, it all depends on what we put into the software. I don't know. Maybe we'll get it better. We'll get it right over time. But
Everything gets better in time. Everything.
yep. All right, the last subject, ladies and gentlemen. This is psychology. Me and my friend Logo decided to read another article from spring.org, and it talks about a seasoning that's helping to prevent memory problems. This seasoning is garlic. Garlic for everybody. This article briefly discusses how eating garlic could help prevent age-related memory problems by improving gut health. This article talks about how it first tested this out on aging rodents, and it proved successful in restoring both long-term and short-term memory in them. And as we age over time, our guts become less healthy, and this is linked to memory problems and Alzheimer's. And that there's a particular compound in garlic called allyl sulfide that helps support healthy bacteria in the gut. So, what are your thoughts, my guy? What did you think of this? Are you eating garlic for the rest of your life?
This makes me think of the fact that, there's that typical saying, if it asks for 2 cloves of garlic, you put in 6. Like, yeah, garlic has always been, like, I guess, a huge part of my diet in a sense, and I haven't necessarily thought about it, but hell, I won't lie, I've got my own memory problems, but garlic is apparently like an answer to that, then I might start adding even more cloves of garlic to my.
Right. I was just thinking to myself, man, like, dude, it's great that they discovered this, but the first thing that came into my mind, dude, is that if everybody starts, like, taking this article too seriously, we'll live, like, in a society of people with terrible breath. Like, you're just riding on the metro. No, not even riding on the metro. Bro, what if you're taking your kid to school and he just ate an entire bowl of garlic? And just like, Dad, I remembered to do my homework. And you're just like, stop talking to me.
Your old fancy date, you just take her home, walk her up to the front door, and you both have garlic breath.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how we're going to be able to find the balance here. Like, we're just going to become like, just imagine like a dude, he's on his first date, right? He just finished eating his first bowl of garlic. He's coming up. He's trying to bring his girl on a date, and all of a sudden she's just like,
Ew, no.
like, you're going to remember everything about me on our first date, but your breath smells so bad, I don't know if it's worth it. He's like, I did it for you, baby.
I wanted to make sure I could remember this.
I want to remember this experience for the rest of my life. But that brings me to just that point. Like, I wonder if eating too much garlic is going to be good for you, though. Like, I don't know if I'm going to... What if eating too much garlic makes you remember things from the past that you don't want to remember? Like I was just thinking to myself... I was thinking to myself...
Garlic.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to remember the traumatizing experiences. Like, there were so many times where, like, I went to the doctor's office to get my shots. I don't want to remember what they did to me, dude. Like, I was a spoiled brat. Like, I would literally shake uncontrollably, like, so much. Like, my mom would have to hold me down. They'd strap me in this huge chair. Like, and it's just, like, just put so many needles in me. And I'm just like, I was squealing like a pig. Like, I don't want to remember that. Like, so... That's my question to these researchers. Like, how much am I going to remember? Like, like they're probably gonna, I don't know. They're just certain things that shouldn't be remembered. I don't know. Do you feel like there are certain things that you don't want to remember? Because you better be careful when you're eating your garlic in the morning.
Here's the thing. Sometimes the things that we don't necessarily want to remember are the things that we need to focus on the most. If you're trying to forget something that bad, then man, that means that you're trying to push away a trauma that you need to face.
Facts, dude. I don't know if I want to think about the needles.
I want to face it right now.
I'll try my best. Okay, needles, needle in arm, needle in butt,
needle in butt.
Like, nah. But nah, like, yeah, man, I think this is, I don't know. I think that this is amazing because it also made me think about the fact that you know, our body is so connected and we're not even aware of that. Just like how they're connecting the gut to just like, you know,
Memory.
to memory. Exactly. And the fact that like just based off eating garlic, it makes your memory better. Like that's just really interesting. Just like having a healthy gut in general, you wouldn't even think like, oh yeah, like that's all I pretty much have to do. You don't have to sit down and do exercises all day from like these corny memory websites. But yeah,
I
man.
mean, what I will say is this, it's somewhat off topic, but somewhat on topic because it's the morning, it's breakfast time. You know how people skip out on breakfast a lot?
Mm,
Well, you shouldn't, only because think about it this way, you know, that the food that you eat in the morning is supposed to fuel you for the rest of the day. You want to know
mm,
how you feel like when you don't eat food and you can't think? Well, when you didn't like literally fuel yourself to think. So when you feel like and you feel like I can't think at all and you didn't eat that morning, go get something to eat. I guarantee you might be able to start processing better.
facts,
Processing
facts.
leads to easier memory.
Facts, man, facts. I was also thinking about how this actually affects certain communities, man. I mean, I know there are like communities that, you know, don't have access to nutritious food, you know, or even just like, let alone garlic. So it's like, how is this like negatively impacting them? Like, the more research comes out about like all this different stuff, you begin to realize, like, yo, like, it'll be like really hard for these communities to come out of the rut because not only do they not have access to certain resources, but they don't have access to like healthy food in general, which fuels them during the day to, you know, make those smart decisions. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. Yeah. But overall, everybody, make sure you eat your next bowl of garlic. Make sure make sure that you remember your wife's anniversary or whatever it is that you need to know. Shoot. A really interesting discussion today here though with my man's Logan. I'm really happy I had the chance to have you on, dude. Why don't you go ahead and tell the people where they can find you before you dip out this morning?
You can find me on Instagram. It's Lurgin, Lurrgin. Um,
Lurky.
huh?
It's just every single time I say it, it just like rolls off the tongue. Like I know enjoy
Lurgin.
saying Lurky. Oh man. But that's it, just IG.
Yeah, just IG at the moment.
Make sure you guys go check out our like TikTok collaboration, dude, with like the bacon. That was freaking hilarious. Like I just might put the link to that in the description of this video.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks so much for coming on here, dude. I really appreciate it. You're always awesome to talk to. Awesome getting your perspective. This was a really fun conversation. We need to be able to do this again. Dude, have a safe trip.
I'd love to. Have a
Anyway,
great rest of the day, man. I gotta
thank
head
you,
over to
man.
work. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having me on the show, dude.
Thank you for being on, dude. Thank you for everyone tuning in to this episode of the Al and the Sheriff podcast, otherwise known as the ATS podcast, obviously. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this podcast episode, make sure that you like, comment, and hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Also, make sure you hit that notification bell to get all notifications for this podcast. Also, make sure that if you're watching this on any of my podcast hosting sites, make sure that you hit that subscribe or follow button. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it. Hope to see you guys on the next podcast. And keep being beautiful and wonderful. Ah!